This is Jamal.
And this is a dumb video.
Jamal is a boy who lives in a poor neighborhood. He has a friend named Kevin, who lives in a wealthy neighborhood. All of Jamal's neighbors are African American, and all of Kevin's neighbors are white.
Whereas in the real world, there are black people in rich neighborhoods and white people in poor neighborhoods. So it's nice to know that he's not basing this in anything resembling reality. Also nice to know that, well, he's pretty racist.
Because Jamal's school district is mostly funded by property taxes, his school is not very well funded.
Anyone who knows how the American school system is funded knows this is a load of crap. Schools are funded district-wide or even statewide. The district decides which schools get what amount of money. So again, nothing resembling reality here.
His classrooms are overcrowded, his teachers are underpaid, and he doesn't have access to high-quality tutors or extracurricular activities.
And in reality, and again as anyone who knows how schools are funded will tell you, the failing schools tend to get more money. Politicians and bureaucrats pander to the public to give money for failing schools and show all about how they're solving the problem by giving the neediest schools more money, which results in a race to the bottom. It's incentivizing failure since the schools are essentially rewarded for being crappy. He's also ignoring all of the integration policies such as busing that were supposed to solve this problem.
Kevin's school district is also funded by property taxes, so his school is very well funded.
Again, not how it works.
Kevin and Jamal live only a few streets away from each other. So how come they're growing up in such different worlds with such different opportunities for success?
Because they don't have school choice? Something Democrats and progressives are against? Why do I have a feeling he's not gonna point this out, and instead do what all lefties do? Try and pretend it's other people who are racist and not them.
The answer has to do with America's history of systemic racism.
No, it has to do with the progressives' history of racism.
To understand it better, let's look at what life was like for Kevin and Jamal's grandparents.
Oh, you mean back when black families were the most upwardly mobile in America and among the most stable as well? Whereas since your wonderful Great Society of the 1960s, that's been stopped in its tracks? By the welfare state that destroys black families and keeps them in perpetual poverty? As both Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams pointed out, the welfare state did in 10 years what Jim Crow couldn't do in 100. Destroy the black family and their prospects for educational and economic success. Yes, systemic racism actually is pretty easy to find, but you're looking in the wrong place.
Decades after the Civil War, many government agencies started to draw maps dividing cities into sections that were either desirable or undesirable for investment. This practice was called redlining.
Ah, so zoning as well. You keep saying redlining even though redlining was eliminated in 1968. You're talking about zoning. And you're right, the government policy of zoning is incredibly racist. And yet, progressives are among the worst when it comes to zoning. Zoning laws everywhere are completely unnecessary, hideously racist, and should all be repealed. But do progressives call for the elimination of zoning? This guy doesn't even call for the elimination of zoning.
Historically speaking, owning a home and getting a college education is the easiest way for an American family to build wealth.
No, it isn't. A lot of people succeed and become millionaires or even billionaires without a college education, sometimes without even a high school education, and without owning any property. They succeeded by being entrepreneurial. Among the first black millionaires in this country was Robert Reed Church, born a slave, but after emancipation he invested what little money he could in Memphis's Beale Street Entertainment District. White investors didn't want to invest in African American neighborhoods because they felt it was too risky, and that gave him the opportunity to prosper. He became one of the largest landowners in Memphis. O.W. Gurley did a similar thing in Tulsa in an area known as Negro Wall Street. Madam C.J. Walker became a millionaire after starting her own line of cosmetics. Annie Malone did a similar thing with hair care products. James Fortin invented a sail-making device that ended up making him $2.5 million in today's dollars, which he put towards abolitionist initiatives. Samuel T. Wilcox started a chain of grocery stores specializing in high-quality products. Stephen Smith worked in the lumber yards until starting his own business in 1822, which by 1857 had netted him $13.5 million in today's dollars. After Robert Gordon gained his freedom, he started a coal yard in Cincinnati, and the white coal leaders started selling their coal at a loss to try and drive him out of business. Gordon sent out his purchasers to buy all of their coal and sell it for a profit. When he died in 1884, his estate was worth $5 million in today's dollars. Possibly the very first was William Leidesdorff Jr., who started a successful shipyard, lumberyard, and ship candlery shop and went on to build San Francisco's first hotel. Frank McWhorter, Clara Brown, Charles Patterson, and his son Frederick. I can go on and on and on and on listing successful blacks who became millionaires in today's dollars before your wonderful progressive era, some even before the Civil War, by being entrepreneurs.
So Jamal's grandparents were not able to buy a home, and because colleges could prevent them from attending through legal segregation, their options for higher education were really scarce.
So why doesn't Jamal start his own business? Because as soon as he does, he's hit with zoning restrictions or licensing laws or other things that are supposedly there to help consumers but aren't really there to help protect political cronies from competition. A good organization that's actually doing something positive about that is the Institute for Justice, link in the description. And as I've shown over and over again, minimum wage, another policy of the eugenicists, has the effect of destroying the jobs that Jamal might have been able to get, which is the real purpose of minimum wage. But again, I have the feeling this guy's not going to want to get rid of minimum wage laws. But if you want to know more about that and see the historical evidence that there really there is an anti-black policy, see my playlist on the minimum wage. This is all in the first 2 minutes, by the way. Gotta love the pure concentrated fail.
Unfortunately for Jamal, studies show that resumes with white-sounding names get twice as many callbacks as identical resumes with black-sounding names.
One study showed that, and it was debunked by a later study from the University of Missouri that tried to replicate the results with better methodology. The original study picked names that were not just associated with African Americans, but poor African Americans and those more likely to have criminal records. To make sure race was the only issue, the new study's authors used surnames that were distinctly black, white, or Hispanic, but first names that were common to the whole population, randomly assigned and only used to signify gender. After sending out almost twice as many resumes to employers in 7 cities, not just 2 as in the original study, and for a greater variety of positions, from sales to administration to customer service to medical professions, the responses showed no statistical difference across race, ethnicity, or gender. The study's authors concluded, on the whole, we interpret our findings optimistically. Our analysis reveals little evidence to suggest that employers discriminate by race or gender in responding to resumes from job applicants. One explanation for our findings is that we selected names for the resumes to indicate race and gender without further indications of socioeconomic status. So yeah, that lets you see their research skills.
Implicit bias is one of the reasons why the black unemployment rate is twice the rate of white unemployment.
No, it's primarily minimum wage.
You can see evidence of systemic racism in every area of life. The disparities in family wealth, incarceration rates, political representation, and education are all examples of systemic racism.
And all things done by government, things that progressives are mostly in charge of and favor vociferously.
Unfortunately, the biggest challenge with systemic racism is that there's no single person or entity responsible for it.
Yes, there is. Progressives.
Which makes it very hard to solve.
No, it's easy. End minimum wage. End zoning. Implement school choice. End the welfare state. End the war on drugs. Fix the justice system by ending qualified immunity, civil asset forfeiture, and cash bail. End licensing laws and any other regulations to get in the way of starting one's own business and competing openly, and basically implement a free market. Absolutely 100% of everything you mentioned is the fault of government, and specifically by progressives. But the only solution he mentions in his video is increasing school funding, which is stupid because it's not caused by the levels of school funding. It's caused by the race to the bottom. It's caused by incentivizing failure. Issue a money follows the child school choice policy, and this disappears pretty much within a year or two. That's what's been found in every single country that's tried it.
So what can you do? The first thing you can do is work towards becoming more aware of your own implicit biases.
You first. Hey, thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe and keep these videos coming by donating, becoming a subscriber and getting special benefits, or even for free with airtime. And check out all the great content here, like this video selected just for you.